Hello, and thank you for joining us for our BNI San Diego podcast. My name is Ed Wilson. I am the host and the executive director for BNI San Diego. I want to thank you for joining us today. I have a very special guest, Joe Mendoza, who's a commercial realtor. He's also the president of his chapter, BNI Referral Revolution. Welcome, Joe.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, super excited.
So tell us, give us a snippet on who you are, your background. You know, earlier we talked about you going from San Diego to Hawaii, back to San Diego.
Yeah.
You know, share a little bit about you.
Absolutely. So I've been born and raised pretty much California.
Okay.
My dad was in the Navy. So part of my time as a child was here in San Diego, went to Hawaii, first through fifth grade, and came back here. He ended up retiring here. So I've been here since 1983.
And how long have you been in the commercial real estate business?
It's been in real estate all in all over almost 30 years now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You came into BNI, it's been what, 4 years now?
Oh, thank you. But it's actually been only two.
Only two.
Less than
wow.
two.
It seems like, but that just means that you're home, right? It's worked really well for you.
Absolutely.
So I want to talk a little bit about your story in BNI.
Sure.
And why would a commercial real estate agent, I know why the residential real estate agent, right? It's the number one spot in all of BNI around the world, our residential real estate, but why commercial real estate? Why did you want to join BNI? Why did you want to come in? Why are you the president? You know, I want to hear your story.
Sure, absolutely. So commercial real estate, it's one of those things that is very, very difficult because as a real estate agent, you know, there's times when you can catch the market right and it's super, super easy. Mm-hmm. But overall, it doesn't matter if the market's easy or tough. Commercial real estate has been tough throughout. I mean, it's feast and famine. You either make a couple 100,000 or you make nothing. And so why I joined BNI is part of that reason. The residential game is fairly easy to me. Like I said, I've been doing it 30 years. I still do every now and then residential, but commercial real estate, I knew going in it was going to be very, very difficult. So part of BNI was a relationship building.
Building that team around you.
That's it.
Right?
That's it. So I really wanted to get involved with BNI because of that, because I know having all these different connections in San Diego especially could help propel my real estate career in commercial real estate.
And how's it been so far?
It's been great. It's been great. I know going in, it will still be difficult, which I know, but the leads are starting to trickle in. And it's one of those things where me in real estate so long, I know what's coming.
Yeah.
And what's coming right now is the mortgage maturity. There's actually what they call almost a perfect storm where the loan maturities are happening, and depends how you look at it, right? Because in 2008, during the mortgage meltdown, some people got really rich, some people got really poor. Right now, I see it as a major, major opportunity in real estate.
So positioning yourself to go to that spot, right? To be ahead of the game.
That's exactly correct.
Right?
That's exactly correct.
How is BNI, how is your team of people in the chapter playing into that?
Oh, amazing. So we've got a very, very dynamic, well organized team where I'm doing my story every single week when we do the commercial.
Yeah.
Right. And they're really starting to understand what I'm about and what I'm looking for. And they're really honing in on what to do next. As a matter of fact, you know, I wrote this book, Flex with a Plex, because I also want to help them get wealthy in the process.
You're right there. There it is.
Yeah. So it's not just about me, it's about them, because that giver's gain mentality with BNI, that's another reason why I'm in there. I want to help them get wealthy.
And are all of your people, are all of your teammates in the chapter yet?
Not necessarily.
Right. We're always evolving, right? Growing, looking for individuals in the chapter.
Yeah.
How has it impacted your, you know, a lot of times people come into BNI and they think it's all about referrals. While referrals are a huge part of it, I personally believe, I know that I've grown professionally, my business acumen, my speaking skills, my presentation skills, all of those things that it takes to be successful in business. I am honing those skills every week in BNI.
Same here.
How has that helped you You know, because again, you're in front of, 20, 30 people each and every week. How does that play into your growth as a professional?
I love that question because one of the core values is lifelong learning.
Yeah.
Right. And I did my presentation maybe 4 or 5 months ago, and I heard back some feedback. I'm always open to feedback on one of the members. And one of the members actually, he likes to take pokes. I'm sure you know who he is. But it was one of those where I took it as like, hey, this is where I got to level up.
Yeah.
So my presentation wasn't as good as last week.
Got it.
And I leveled up where it was like much better. And there was guests in the audience. Oof. And they wanted to do one-to-ones right away. And they're not even members.
That tells you nailed it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
When you've got visitors in the room and you're impacting those visitors in such a way that, hey, Joe, I want to get to know you. Let's get together and do a one-to-one.
Right away. It was like, wow, immediate feedback. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
And what are you seeing on the side of giving to the room, right? Because one of the beauties of BNI, when we're setting ourselves up into a chapter, whether we're starting a chapter or coming into an existing chapter, and we look around the room and we assess, are the people that I need in the room yet? And if they're not, how do we go about getting them?
I love that. So you asked that question earlier, do you have your team? And I said no. And being the president, I take responsibility on that.
Okay,
I
love
ownership on that.
That's awesome.
And so I started getting these guests coming in like, okay, who do we need? Who does this lender need? Who does this title person need? Who does this insurance person need? And so I start like, I probably brought the most amount of guests this year for the group.
And I love that you use the word ownership. And I don't know if our listeners can see, but there's a book right back here called Extreme Ownership.
Absolutely.
Right? And that's what we do in BNI. That's that element of accountability. That's that element of ownership. When we need people, yes, we're looking for our team to bring them in, but I'm not going to wait for the team to bring them in. I'm going to go out and find the people that I want to be loyal to. And I love how in BNI, we're creating a team that we're going to be loyal to. The Joe's going to be my commercial real estate agent. Boogie is going to be my personal lines insurance agent, right? We're bringing in those people that we're going to be loyal to.
Exactly.
And we are loyal to them before they're loyal to us.
Correct.
We talked about giver's gain, right?
Right.
And we in BNI give value before we ask for value to be given.
Absolutely.
How would you say, when you came in 2 years ago, again, I thought it was 4 years already, especially because you're president of the chapter. Now that usually doesn't happen so quick, right? Usually someone's been in for a few years before they're asked to be president. You were in your just over year stage then when you're asked to be president. How does that happen?
Really interesting because when I visited the chapter and I was doing, visitors are allowed to have their ask and what have you, I knew right away that I wanted to join the group because of Boogie.
So right from the get-go.
Right from the get-go. And then they started telling me like, hey, Joe, you're probably going to be our president. They started planting seeds.
Whoa.
And I was like, I didn't know what that meant at the time. So
sure, I'll be the president.
Bingo. I'm just that kind of guy. And it actually, I'm a believer. So God has a plan.
Yep.
And so I just kind of follow that plan and everything's working out.
And you've got to walk that path, right? Where, like you said, you didn't know what it meant. You're day one, and they're going, hey, this is someone who we could potentially see if he comes into the chapter as a future leader. Yeah. And you're going, okay, I'm willing, I'm open to whatever that looks like, not knowing what it looks like. And here you are. How's that been for you?
It's been a little bit, flattering.
Okay.
Because, we're here in this next turn of the leadership. And they actually want me to stay in as president and keep going. And they're saying, hey, we love your energy. We love your leadership. We love this and that. It's flattering, but it's one of those things that, I want to make sure that everybody kind of rises up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. When we can make other leaders in the room.
That's right.
It's not just about one leader in the room. How can we cultivate and bring out in people the leadership skills that other people have as well?
Correct.
I love how you put that, right? You want to be able to give other people opportunity. And as you said, it's flattering. People have looked up to you in the role. What has it done for you on that professional level of when you're in front of people, when you're in front of that client, when you're in front of someone who's maybe a difficult customer? Not that we ever get difficult customers. But what's it like? What has your time in BNI, how has it helped you hone those skills?
With the giver's gain, it's really put it on fire.
What do you mean?
Because I've always been a giver. I mean, we're sitting here in Chula Vista. When I started real estate, this is where I was. I was part of the Chula Vista Boys and Girls Club. I was part of their board. I was part of the San Diego Asian Film Festival. I was part of the board. I've always give. Now, in 2008 to 2010, like I said, things were taken away from me.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And some of it not by choice. And I felt really embarrassed. I felt really ashamed of what happened. And I kind of stick my head in the sand a little bit. But it was one of those things where, okay, I needed a reset. And part of why I needed that reset, I joined BNI. And putting that giver's gain on 10X, I saw it around the people I was with, the members when I did the one-to-ones, and I went to other chapters, and it was like, wow, this is what it's all about. Give, give, give. And like I said, it's always been part of my DNA, but it just really put it on fire because, like I said about God, he works in mysterious ways. I even set up this club, Commercial Real Estate Investor Club, where that's all about giving my knowledge, all about helping people create wealth and like putting all these pieces together with BNI and all their core values is really helping me catapult in multiple areas in my life.
So it's amazing when you come into alignment, right? When things come together and they work. And as you said, right, being a believer, knowing that you're in the spot at the moment where God really has you to be in.
Yep.
And knowing it and running with it and doing it with excellence and joy, it catapults everything. It amplifies everything, whether you're good or bad, because things can be, we want things to be amplified in the good. And at times things can be amplified in the bad as well.
Exactly.
Right. So being able to take advantage of the position or the space that you're in right now and really being able to run. And how many people can we help along the way?
Impact. It's all about impact. Every single thing that I do is about impact.
And what does that impact look on a weekly, daily, environment in your chapter? Are you meeting with people? Are you doing one-to-ones? Are you, how are they and how are you impacting each other and the environment around you? Because now you're in North County, right?
Correct.
So you were in Chula Vista. Now you're up in North County. What does that look like for your own chapter? But then let take it to another level and go outside the chapter into the community.
I love it. Great question. So down here when I was in Chula Vista, pretty much if you were in real estate, you knew me.
Okay.
Because I was on newspaper stands and this and that and everywhere and Chula Vista Boys and Girls Club. And I did so much for the community. When the market collapsed, I collapsed with it. And I, like I said, stuck my head in the sand. And, I was up in North County and I was embarrassed. And it was one of those things where joining BNI as a reset, people, when I share my story, they're like, wow, Joe, you got to tell that more often. You got to tell more people. And it's given me this strength to keep going where not just for my BNI chapter, but what else could I do in the community there? What else could I have an impact and help them out? What other nonprofit needs help? And so I'm just pushing and pushing.
And I know that in all of our local chapters, one of my missions is to have a nonprofit in every chapter. And I know you guys are working on that right now as well.
Correct.
So for all of you nonprofits out there, if you're listening, reach out to us if you would like to come visit and join a chapter, because in BNI, we've talked a lot about today about really impacting the people in the room, but that impact is a ripple effect outside of the room, right? The impact that we're making in the room creates a ripple effect. You know, when you drop a rock into the water, the impact is that center spot, but what happens when it goes out? And that's what we want to be able to do with the businesses that we're supporting and helping. 5 years ago, we went through this little, as Dr. Meisner calls it, the great pause, right? COVID, right? Where a lot of people, we're impacted, good or bad, by the ripple effect of this little thing called COVID. We want to make sure that as business owners, you know, with giving back, with all of these things, that we're making the largest ripple effect that we can in the area that we live in, where we do business, the people that we do business with, where we do life, and how your BNI chapter can have such an incredible ripple effect in that community.
I'm excited because it's one of those things where, like I said about 2008, same with COVID, in every shift, there's a gift. In every shift, there's a gift.
Wait, I love that, because oftentimes we don't necessarily see that at the beginning, right? All we're thinking about is the panic of like the collapse or the COVID going on. But say that again.
In every shift, there's a gift. You got to find out what that was, what that is. In 2008, 2010, it wasn't one of the most humbling experiences of my life. You know, because I went from millions of dollars in real estate and income and all that stuff to nothing, right? And for me, God has a plan. So it was one of those wake-up calls where God put me back in alignment, get back to humility, and who can we serve? Who could we be? Who do we need to be next? And so during COVID, that's actually when I wrote Flex with a Plex in my other book, because I thought I was going to die. I literally thought I was going to die. I was like, man, if I'm going to die with COVID, let me put something out there which could be a legacy piece, whether it's from my kids or my family or whoever's interested in real estate. And boom. And thank goodness I didn't die. So we're here. But it was one of those things now. Okay, let's hit that reset and let's see what Joe needs to be to level up. Who does he need to impact, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
So, and that reminds me, right? Every industry goes through its season.
Absolutely.
Right. Some, ideally our seasons go like, you know, that slow progression. Sometimes it's completely up and down. For that individual, Joe, right now that is listening and is where you were back in 08, you know, 010, speak to that person. What would you recommend? Would you recommend BNI for them? Is BNI someplace where they could become stable and help them get their grounding and their footing? You know, there's a lot of people right now that are flailing in a lot of ways. And if what we're doing in our chapter is able to impact our community, this could be one way.
100%.
Right? For those individuals that they don't know what to do, they're trying to grow their business. It's either hard getting employees or hard growing, you know, their client base. How can BNI, from your experience, impact those individuals?
BNI 100% recommend, because whether you're a newbie getting into business or you're a seasoned business owner like myself, it helps everybody, because in so many different ways, from the core values, from the relationships, from the education, the weeklies, all that good stuff. So I would highly recommend it, because for me, it was a reset, right? And it was the biggest impact was the giver's gain mentality. For somebody starting out, now you have your dream team. You have somebody who might be able to do your bookkeeping. And I noticed some sole proprietors don't even have their corporation set up. So it's one of those, if it's not in your chapter, it's probably in somebody else's chapter. Yeah. Big shout out to Marwan in one of our chapters. He's the business attorney, right? And you're going to find all these people that you could create and put as your power team to help you level up. And it's one of those magical things that you've got to be giving yourself as a member to make sure you're not just a taker. Because I've seen other people just join chapters and they're just take, me. And that's where they fail. And so it's one of those things you've got to embrace givers gain because, man, 10X.
Well, and that's it, right? It's not our core value is not takers take. It's givers gain.
Yes, sir.
Right? When we show up with that mentality, that mindset of how can I contribute to the people in my room? Whether it's our BNI chapter, our church, our family, going into a community that's in need, how do we show up? Do we have that mindset of I show up to give? Because it's going to come back. The more you give, the more is going to come back.
Absolutely.
We just have to be able to show up to give.
Yes. And a newbie that's joining BNI, I would recommend the formula be, do, have. Because it's one of those things when they come in, they don't have much and they're struggling and they're barely making the membership to pay because they're doing it on a credit card or something. But if you show up with a be, do, have instead of do to have to be, that formula is screwed up. But any BNI member that comes in, stick to that formula and I'll tell you what, it will start exploding. Not me, take. No, givers gain, give. And then all of a sudden it starts exploding.
Wow. And it really begins with showing up.
Yes, sir.
Right? We have a attendance policy. We want people because we want people here. But every day we've got to show up. Because when we're going through it, when we're in the thick of it, when we're struggling in different areas, there are days when it's hard to show up.
I've seen it. I've seen it with some of these chapter members. And fortunately for me, I've been through so much where I've got pretty thick skin. You know, I said I lost millions in the mortgage meltdown, but I stayed resilient. I kept the faith and I was able to recover. And so some of these members that come in as a new business owner or a new service advisor or whatever, they don't have that thick of a skin where they can't stay resilient. And next thing you know, they're quitting in a month or 3 months. But then it was what I see typically, it was all about me, take. But they've got to really embrace givers gain right away.
So as someone who understands that, so we just talked to that individual who could be struggling. They're trying to figure out what's going on, why BNI could be really good for them. Let's talk to the individual that is that seasoned member looking at that new person coming in. How can we give to them by sharing with them our experience or those words of encouragement of, you know what, just stay the course.
Yeah.
You know what, show up every week. We're here to support you. How do we, let's talk to that individual. Let's talk to that seasoned member who sometimes, and I've been here, I just celebrated 20 years in BNI. There are times when we've done something for a season, we kind of get comfortable and we get, that, oh, I've been there, done that, and got the t-shirt, so to speak, right? How do we help those individuals engage with those new people that are coming in that may be struggling, that may be selling to the room versus selling through the room, that maybe why do I have to be here every week? Those types of things. Let's talk to that seasoned member that can be an impact or a mentor to those individuals who are struggling.
I appreciate that question, Ed. I truly do. Because leadership starts from the top. And with you, how you lead by example and how you set up your leaders, and then it starts to trickle down because the conduit was Jill. I mean, she is a
Jill
rock.
Kratz, amazing.
She is a rock. And recently she stepped into our chapter and she's not afraid to put her foot down. So it's one of those things like where once in a while we need the good cop, but we also need the bad cop to hey, this is how we run things around here. This is our culture. And so Jill, she slapped her hand a little bit which was nice because it's a wake-up call to the members like, hey, you guys need to step up, which he said a few things that really will help our group. And now for the members in the chapters, don't take that the wrong way, because sometimes, like I said, 2008, 2010, some people got rich, some people lost a lot of money. Now, some people might take what Jill's had to say as offensive. That's not offensive. She's trying to make us better and level up.
Yeah.
And so for the members, talking out to the members out there is like, there's always black and white. And so you got to figure out like, okay, what does this mean? What was that gift that Jill brought to
What can I learn from this?
Absolutely.
Right. And really having that mindset of, one of my favorite books, and I think it's right here at the top. Called The Obstacle is the Way, right? When we're hit with that obstacle, like you were in 2008, what's the opportunity here? What can I learn from this situation?
Right.
And having that type of mentality is incredibly important, especially as a business owner, because life isn't always going to be great.
Absolutely.
And if you're not prepared and have the mindset of when an obstacle occurs, what do I have to learn from this? Instead of it becoming debilitating and like the end of the world, like happened with some people during the pandemic or back in 2008, right? But what's the opportunity here? How can I learn from this situation to make it better?
You're exactly correct. I mean, I recently joined jiu-jitsu, so
wow.
I'm training really hard, and people thought I was nuts because I was barely
That's
not
brutal
even
on the body.
2 months in training, and I'm already competing. They're like, dude, Joe, you're nuts. Well, I wrestled in high school, so like I kind of have like that fearless mentality, and I know I could roll, but it's one of those things like I haven't got gold yet, but you win or you learn, like you said.
You
win or you learn. You don't lose.
Yeah.
Okay, unless you quit.
What John Maxwell, and I'm sure the book's on here somewhere, wrote a book called Sometimes You Win, Sometimes You Learn.
Yes.
Right. And it's having that mentality. So I love this conversation because sometimes we get stuck in the poor me.
Yes.
And
mentality.
And we don't have time for it.
No.
Right. Because we have people that we care for, that we're providing for, that we're paying for college for. I mean, when in 2008, you had a family that you still had to provide for.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. The collapse happens. We can't collapse.
That's right.
Which is also a wonderful place to be in a chapter, because in those moments, you weren't in BNI back then, but if that were to happen now, we have all of these people around us that support us and keep us up.
Absolutely.
Right. And to be able to have people around us that look at us and go, yeah, you've fallen, but I'm going to be right there by your side to help you up.
Yes.
Where do you go? Where do you go for that? There's not a lot of places.
Very few, very, very few. And it's one of those things that I would also say, whether you're a member now or a potential member or somebody who's very, very seasoned, treat BNI like a gym membership. Okay. Because you make this investment, but if you don't show up, if you don't put into work, you're not going to get the results.
Wait a minute. You mean just buying the membership, just paying for the membership wasn't enough? I have to do more things?
Absolutely.
and I love that you use that exact example, that analogy, because I use that one with BNI all the time. It is so applicable, right? We can, and it's showing up and doing the right things.
Yes.
Because at the gym, I could show up every single day and sit at the juice bar. That's not going to get me fit. I need to show up and look for a trainer or look for someone to help me learn how to use the equipment. And sometimes as new members or even seasoned members, we have and especially with entrepreneurs, we know everything as entrepreneurs, right? We know it all. So to come into BNI and have someone come alongside you to teach you how to do an effective one-to-one, or how to do an effective weekly presentation. Oh, Joe, I've got it. You don't need to teach me that. I know how to do that. But learning how to be curious, learning how to be open to learning more. Some of the most successful people are always learning.
Yes.
One of our core values, right? Lifelong learning.
Yes. We've
got to continue to grow. So I know I went off a little bit, but I love that analogy of the gym, right? For us in BNI, the exercise machine, the row machine, whatever, those are doing one-to-ones. Those are doing a CEU, a continuing education unit. That's doing, inviting visitors. Those are all those fundamentals that we do in BNI are all of those things that we, in a gym, those are those machines that we're working out our muscles.
Correct. And take the classes in a gym, like there's Pilates, there's yoga, there's this and that. Some people just stick to their chapter. They never visit another chapter.
Yeah.
Go to another class, visit another chapter. And then I visited one here in Chula Vista not too long ago. It started at 7. Well, coming from an hour away, I had to wake up super early to, make sure.
Well, and your chapter starts at 11 or 11:30. Yeah, right. That's a little different, right?
Big difference. So I would encourage BNI members to visit other chapters, visit other classes like a gym.
So that goes back to that. Be curious.
Yeah. Don't
just know it all. I mean, I have my moments where, and my wife and children probably can attest to, Dad just, and I've got to learn how to be curious again.
Yeah. And the other one, what you said earlier, that stems down from like, I know it. That's ego. And ego, to me, that means edging God out.
Oh.
When you're edging God out, you're like, I'm higher than this. No, you got to stay humble and learn, be willing to learn from other people. Everybody has something to bring.
Well, and nobody wants to be in a chapter with people like that.
Yes.
Right? Because everybody in that room has something to add value to. If you're the person that is like you're above everybody else, nobody wants to be around that person.
Correct.
I don't care how good you are in your business, nobody wants to be around that individual.
Yes.
So that's where that humility comes in, right? And sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's easy. But being willing to be curious and willing to ask for help and willing to come alongside people that are struggling. I was just listening to a Simon Sinek talk, and he was talking about the Navy SEALs, and he did some work with some Navy SEALs, and one of the things that he talked about was how do you know if a Navy SEAL is, when they're going through training camp, if they're going to make it through or not. And he said, oftentimes, the biggest guys, the guys with the tattoos and all the muscles, a lot of them don't make it through because it's all about them. He said that the guys that make it through, that when they're at their limit, they're looking for who else can I help, right? It's not about me. It's about giver's gain. Yeah. When we're at our limit, when we're struggling, are we looking up and looking around and going, who can I help?
Absolutely.
So, Joe, I'm this was a fun conversation.
Thank you. Likewise.
And I appreciate the fact that you've been here for 2 years and I thought it's been 4 years. That means you've made an impact in BNI here in San Diego. And I'm looking forward to having you around for more years and president and other roles as well in the chapter. So for our listeners, as we come into a close, one of the things I love to ask our guests is, if you were to leave our listeners with some tidbit, something that they could walk away with from our conversation today, what would something be that you would want that person coming into BNI or that seasoned member in BNI, what would you want to leave them with today?
I would say blind faith, trust the process. Because it's one of those things where you don't know what you don't know. And if you just lead with blind faith, again, for me, I'm a believer, but somebody who maybe not, try it out. Try out blind faith and see what happens. Because the world, God, Buddha, whoever you believe in, has a weird way, an interesting way to put it all together. And if you embrace all these values of positive attitude, giver's gain, lifelong learning, all these different things, and keep it with blind faith, it's going to happen. The magic will happen. And
it all starts with showing up.
Yes, sir.
Got to be here.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yeah.
What's that saying? You must be present to win. Each and every day.
Yes, sir.
Joe, thank you for joining us today. I'm looking forward to having you back again. And maybe we can even touch on your book next time that you're back.
Happy to.
So thank you again for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Ed.
Absolute pleasure. For our listeners, it's always great to be with you in your car, in your living room, in your headset, wherever we're at, whether you're at the gym or whatever it is. Thank you for joining us. We're looking forward to seeing you back with us next week with always another amazing guest. Hope you have a great day. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Ed. Thanks, BNI.
This episode of the BNI San Diego podcast has been brought to you by Cruise Productions, a San Diego-based video production company and proud BNI member. You can find us at the intersection where business and creativity meet, or online at cruiseproductionsinc.com.